कुछ स्टोरीज होती हैं जो आपको ना स्पीचलेस कर देती हैं। उन्हीं में से एक स्टोरी आज मैं आपके साथ लेकर आ रही हूँ इस पॉडकास्ट चैनल पे। व्हाट वाज दैट सरप्राइजिंग learning which you have learned from your journey? So what all are the major biases? Though I know few, but I would like to hear from you. Can you just quickly tell me what all are the real steps or the strategies where the organization should follow to make sure that the people should feel inclusive?
So, broadly, LGBTI plus term revolves around two aspects or three aspects of a human being.
The one and only women leader who's working with Global Bank. Let me welcome Miss Amita on HR Scoop. Hello, ma'am.
Hello,
How are you?
I am good, thank you. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good, and I'm really happy that you said yes for HR Scoop and being here on Saturday.
Yeah, and when it's raining,
Yeah,
especially.
and Pune.
Yeah, Pune.
Yes. So, first of all, I'm really excited to know more about you since the discussion we had that was not that long, of course. So I wanted to know more about your journey, how you started, and the kind of experience like global bank you're associated with, and you're working as a senior vice president. So मैं जानना चाहती हूँ बहुत अच्छे से डिटेल में आपके बारे में, आपकी जर्नी के बारे में.
Sure. So, yes, I work in the capacity of a senior vice president with a captive of a global bank. So, basically, I work in banking technology. In fact, all my experience has been into banking technology, which includes various spheres of banking, whether it is core retail banking or investment banking, corporate banking, private banking, and currently wealth. So, my desk job includes, of course, working on the products, technology solutions, which fall in the remit of wealth
Okay.
for a bank. So yes, that is how it has been as far as my desk job is concerned. Very much sitting with the engineering teams, with the business, global teams, global stakeholders. One of those days where you feel like pulling your hair out and why me? Why is it happening with me? One of those phases. And then there are those moments where you are validated, celebrated, your accomplishments, you achieve something, whether it's a solution or something which validates you in terms of accomplishments. um, you know Climbing up the corporate hierarchy is also one of those from the monetary aspects perspective. So yes, the journey has been enriching. It presented several opportunities which pushed me to learn, to excel. At the same time, my accomplishments have also been recognized. So it has been a fulfilling experience so far. Along with that, then in my personal space, of course, I enjoy backpacking. And the typical question, mountains or beaches, which we see around. So for me, it's always mountains. Mountains have been a therapy for me.
Wow.
So yeah, I love being in the mountains. I do mandalas. I am a cat mom. They keep me on my toes. Um, and then there is this other pro bono aspect which I indulge in, especially on weekends. That is advocacy. So, the intent or the motive behind advocacy is leveraging my lived experience to influence minds, to drive inclusion forward, to help people understand the various diversity, which is a reality, it's not a myth,
Yep.
especially when we talk about LGBTI plus individuals. So that is where then weekends mostly are leveraged to drive inclusion forward. And that is where I'm fortunate and happy that today we are having this conversation.
Wow. Wow. But many of the audience doesn't even know the meaning of LGBTQI. So can you please elaborate it more?
So maybe Deepika, I will not fully agree with that question now. Why? Because if you see, um, like
This term
this,
is
yes,
missing
yes,
in the corporate. Yeah.
this very month, or this very last couple of weeks, because of Olympics, the conversation, the debate that we saw,
Yeah.
especially on various mainstream platforms, I'm sure people have been pushed towards the terminology.
Yeah.
So maybe they will not understand the nitty-gritties of it, but every person have been exposed to the term.
Yeah.
So do you want me to explain the term quickly?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it will be helpful.
Sure, sure, cool. So, broadly, LGBTI plus term revolves around two aspects or three aspects of a human being.
Yeah.
What are those three aspects? One is sexual orientation, other one is gender expression,
Yeah.
third one is gender identity.
Correct.
So, sexual orientation is basically one person's emotional, physical, romantic attraction towards the other person. In most of the cases, we see a man attracted towards a woman attracted towards a man. That is where they become heterosexual people. But in certain, a few cases, a man is attracted towards another man, a woman is attracted towards another woman. And that is where the man we call gay, women we call lesbians. So, this is all about sexual orientation. More often than not, sexual orientation is hidden. It is not visible to the eyes unless the individual want to come out, discuss about it. The other one is gender expression. Gender expression is something that you see with your naked eyes. So when you see a person, what their appearance is, how they are presenting themselves in terms of, let's say, their hairstyle, their clothing, their overall appearance, that is what is gender expression. And then comes the term gender identity. Gender identity is an individual's innate feeling about their own self, what they identify themselves with. And gender is also, if you see, a societal construct. Now, in again, most of the cases, sexual orientation, gender expression, gender identity are very much in sync, and we are, surrounded by such individuals in, good number. Majority of population is this. But then there are certain individuals where these three things are not in sync. So just I explained lesbians and gays. Similarly, then we have trans persons, transgender women, transgender men, where there is this incongruence, gender incongruence, or the other term is gender dysphoria, where the gender identity, expression is not in sync what they identify with. And that is where these individuals decide to go through, not all, but a few, through the journey of gender transition to embrace their true self. When we talk about gender expression, then there are these individuals who are gender fluid, gender non-binary, where what you see to your eyes might not be their gender. So the looking at the appearance, the person might come across as a feminine person, but they might identify themselves as non-binary, not fitting into any spectrum. So that is how then LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexuals, again, it is about sexual orientation, individuals who are attracted to two or multiple genders, trans persons, about gender identity, and then the other terms. So this is how the overall LGBTI plus
Wow.
umbrella is.
I have seen lot of videos, lot of, since I'm also a posh trainer, so, and diversity and inclusion, but the best definition ever.
Thank you.
And so detailed one and the beautiful you explained. I'm glad. So what's your take, like what kind of challenges you face, like since you are on that level, that's today, but what's your about your past journey and how you came on that level, what kind of crucial moments as a personal professional front?
Um, so I come from a small town. So coming from a small town and trying to venture into corporate in a big city, So, especially when you are a fresh graduate, even today, if you see, there is a skills gap. What you're taught,
Yeah.
even in your engineering courses, and what is actually required on job, there is a gap. I'm not saying the gap is big, but there is a gap. And that is where first thing that hits you after you venture into corporate or employment sector, um, how will I bridge that particular gap? What I need to do to augment my skill? Okay, and that is where then your corporate journey starts. Again, it is up to that individual. I mean, it is also about having a check around your surrounding to analyze what are the supportive um, enablers you have around you, which you can leverage, which can help you augment your skills. And it is not a one time activity. I mean, skill augmentation is a constant process which goes hand in hand with learning, which you have to do every day, every time in corporate, for you also to just not discharge your current duties but also to excel. For example, let's say today I'm at a certain level and I want to step up to the next level. So first thing I'll have to do is analyze what is the skills gap,
Yeah.
my current level and my next level, and then again analyzing what can I do to bridge that gap.
Right.
So that's a constant effort, that is a constant journey, and various things influence this journey. Major factor, I would say, people. So definitely, regardless of which spectrum of diversity you are from, finding allies and leaning on those allies is extremely, extremely important, because we can't really work in silos. It is eventually about collaboration, cooperation, and that is where leaning on to allies helps a lot. Um, then imposter syndrome, so let's say when somebody is part of a lesser represented group, or let's say somebody who has a journey like me, which is road less traveled. So what I also struggle with is having a relatable reference point or role model. Usually, for example, if somebody want to excel in cricket, so you have celebrated role models, which are there in the public remit. So you have a reference point that, okay, during especially difficult times, you have a reference point which you can refer to.
Correct.
Or let's say a woman wants to be an astronaut, woman want to excel in corporate, or let's say politics. There are reference points, but my journey struggle was having a relatable reference point, and that is where it was more like making mistakes, learning from it, and not repeating the mistakes. So that is one of the mantras which I followed and I continue to follow, because usually when you are stuck at a crossroad, that is where then now, when you don't have a reference point, you struggle a little. You have to take then risks also, count on your enablers, lean on your allies, take a decision, maybe it can go wrong, bounce back, start a day afresh with a blank slate, and keep on going. Other thing is showing up.
Yeah.
Showing up, I think, is extremely, extremely important. And I don't believe in that philosophy that one has to be positive all the time and energetic all the time, because we can't. We are humans.
Yeah.
And emotions are very much part of our being, part of our existence. That is where having a poker face all the time, showing no emotion on your face, that is not something which I'll endorse, and that is not something which I look up to in a leader. Being honest with your emotions, acknowledging acknowledging your emotions, acknowledging the fact that not every day is the same, but at the same time acknowledging your triggers also, and then maybe learning to navigate around it. You might not have solutions to everything and all the triggers, you might not be able to pacify those triggers, but what matters is how will you navigate to it, navigate through it. Perfection is not something which we need to celebrate, because if you see the times that we are living today, distraction is all around us. And I'm not saying distraction is, I'm not referring to social media. Even you pick up any job, the kind of hats somebody needs to wear in today's times, those number of hats also become a distraction.
Actually.
And if you don't wear those hats, then you yourself are curbing your learning. Forget about your progression opportunities. That is where you need to venture out. You need to explore those hats. You need to explore those various opportunities. But they also become distractions for you.
Right.
You want to do deep work, but at the same time, that's not something which you can do when you're part of culture that you're part of.
Right.
So in situations like that, if you continuously keep on focusing on perfection, you might do harm to your own self.
Right. What was that, while listening this line and beautifully, again, you explain, what was that surprising learning which you have learned from your journey?